PLC Network here with another unboxing, this time coming from the company Yeedi, and this is the yeedi vac Max. It is a robot vacuum and mop, and cleans your house for you, so you don't have to. At least one less thing you have to worry about. But it comes with a, it offers a 3000 PA, which is the suction power. It's a Pascal pressure unit of measurement. At 3000, it's pretty good. It has surface detection, just like you would find with most of today's carpet slash mop solutions, so it's able to detect when it moves from like a hard tile or wood onto a carpet, so that way if you are mopping, it'll sit there and stop and turn around and go the other way so it doesn't drag water all over your carpet. And it comes with a number of other things that you find in any common modern robot vacuum, such as visual mapping that allows it to be able to create a map of the environment that it's rolling around in, so that way it's easy to be able to look and follow it and track it around your home or select certain zones. You can also do virtual boundaries. You can say you don't want it to go into certain areas because it might, tangle up in some cables or knock over something, or you just don't want that area to be disturbed. And it is also compatible with Yeedi's emptying bin or self-empty station for the proper terminology of what it would be referred to as, but that's an upgraded model. And or if you want to just buy the bin separately later on, this does support that, so this will drive right up to the bin and empty itself when it's done cleaning the floor, which is a big bonus because that's less that you have to worry about constantly going over to it to empty up the little smaller bin that's inside the vacuum itself. It does operate using camera versus LiDAR. Now, at one point, and this is relatively recently, and it's towards the end of last year, is pretty much where we started shifting away from it ourselves, but it uses camera instead of LiDAR. And we used to say that, if it didn't offer LiDAR, it's not exactly your premium model. However, that has changed over the years because with AI technology, cameras can really achieve a lot when it comes to mapping out an environment as well as object recognition. So that way, if it's riding up to something, like not this specific model, but if some of those premium models, when they ride up to something, they're technically able to determine if something's a dog toy or a cable or something like that and know how to avoid it. It's still a work in progress with some of these companies, and again, this model doesn't offer object recognition, but it does prove that camera versus LiDAR actually does have hope. In fact, Elon Musk said it himself. He said that LiDAR is a fool's errand. He said that anyone that's relying on LiDAR is doomed. So that explains why even Tesla has pushed away from using LiDAR in their vehicles, or in its vehicles, and has started to make use of the cameras for everything in its self-driving software based on its deep learning AI that's driving everything. It allows Teslas to do the amazing things that they do. So that being said, having camera versus LiDAR is not necessarily a bad thing anymore. It does have a 5200 mAh battery, which allows it to supposedly operate for up to 200 minutes, which is important because some of these robot vacuums can run around your house cleaning and then they die about like 10 minutes into the job or 15 minutes into the job and have to go back and recharge and then resume its progress. Now, a lot of them will, thanks to visual mapping, be able to go back and resume its progress where it left off, but this should be able to handle a pretty large space without having to worry about that. 200 minutes is pretty good. So you should be able to have a pretty good experience with this without having to worry about it going back and forth all day just to get the job done. It does offer Google and Alexa support. So you're able to trigger it by voice or check status using your digital assistants. It does so by pairing it through the app. It actually comes with its own proprietary Yeedi app. Of course, since it's proprietary, that also means that you're not going to have support for things like SmartThings and Home Assistant and Smart Life. So it is going to be proprietary into its own ecosystem for now, except for the fact that you do have access to Google and Alexa, as said. So if you are smart and know what you're doing, you could still try to integrate it with some of those other solutions like SmartThings and Home Assistant, as long as you're able to communicate back and forth using Amazon or the Alexa speakers as a bridge. Now, there does appear to be an API being worked on by Yeedi. We were able to find it by searching around Google, and we found a link. It didn't lead us to anything that we could see that way you can register or try to find any kind of keys so you can be able to interact using some of these other ecosystems. So you probably can't use it just yet, but it does show that Yeedi is actively working on an API if they don't already have one that's ready to roll out sometime soon. But once they do that, you might be able to see some of that integration with some of these other ecosystems. Which leaves us with the final spec, which is the MSRP, which is $369. So this is definitely not an entry-level model. This is at least priced at more of a mid-level model, or upper mid, I would say, level model. So it'll be interesting to see how well this performs. But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna open this up, we're gonna see what it looks like, we're gonna see what's in the box. And then for the full review, you're gonna go to POCnetwork.net later on, once we've really had some time to play with this. So for now, the unboxing. So let's go ahead and pop this open. And you are met at the very top with some instructions here, some documentation. That's in this little bag. You have a limited warranty. You have a quick start guide, which is what most everybody's gonna probably look at and then ignore this thick thing. But it does show you how to download the app and get started with the app, how to get everything added to your network, and how to do setup, or at least some of the definitions of what everything means in terms of how to set up, virtual boundaries or go in between vacuuming and mopping. It has some mopping tips in here, mapping tips, so just exactly what it says. It's a quick start guide. It's to get you started. If you've never used one of these before, you're probably going to want to break into this bad boy. And given how thick it is, I'm going to assume, and plus you have all these little gray, anytime you see all these different variations of gray on the side here, you know that this is going to be in multiple different languages, which it is. You got English, French, and Spanish, it looks like. So it's not as intimidating as it looks. And you're looking at about this much is your English portion, so it does give you plenty of information, including package contents, operating and programming, maintenance, indicator light, status information, troubleshooting, and product specifications. So if, again, you've never used one of these before, you're definitely going to want to take a look at this to get started and to better understand the full capabilities of your machine and how to use it, as well as the app. And you have some FCC information, declaration of conformity. And then we'll look at some of these accessories. You do have one half of the plug right here. Actually, that should be the full plug, actually, it looks like. And this will go to the base station, which is right here, which we'll pull out. Now, the base station doesn't have anything unique to it. It is quite familiar and kind of looks almost identical to most of the base stations out there for a lot of these robot vacuums. You have the plug right here, just as I thought. It plugs in right there, and then it wraps around on the back, and the whole purpose of that is to maintain the distance between the base station and the plug. So if the plug's far away, then you can just run it straight to the plug, however distance you need based on what's provided. If the plug's right above the base station, then you can wrap the excess cable on the back so it's hidden, and you don't have this big wad of cable everywhere, so just whatever you need comes out the side here and straight up to the plug. So you have two parts of this. You have the charging area right here. This is what the robot will roll up onto, and this is what charges it each time. And then it uses this to be able to find, you have some electronics in here that's able to, it's kind of like a beacon, so it knows how to find its home and come back to where it came from so it can go back to charging. At the bottom here, you have some rubber pads here, so it'll prevent it from, in fact, we'll just take that out. It'll prevent it from sliding around on the carpet, or not carpet, but any kind of a hard surface that you place this on, as well as it looks like some nice soft foam here to prevent scratching on the back end. And then we have the vacuum. Now they protect it with a nice little cloth cover here. That way it doesn't get any scratches, which is good since it's white. And like most of these vacuums, it doesn't come with the brush attached. With this model, and this is kind of a popular kind of a direction that some of these companies have been taking, you used to quite commonly see two of these brushes on the vacuum itself. But now, there's only one. This simply pops in right there, and you're done. These options right here are gonna be for when you are using this as a mop. The bin is going to be down here, and then you're going to slide this on there. It's going to hook into place here. Actually, it doesn't look like it slides. It just literally pops into place. and this is what gives it its cleaning capability. So as it's mopping and it's laying water down, it's using this to pull it back up along with any dirt that's underground. And you have replacement pads. Now this is actually kind of cool because usually when they give you replacement pads, you get like maybe one. Yeah, so you'll have the original one plus one replacement. In this case, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 replacement pads. So that's a pretty good bonus right there. And then as for, I mentioned the reservoir for the water, you have this thing right here. You just push down and pull this out. And this reservoir right here, you fill with your water and pop it right back into place. And that's all you have to do. Once you tell it to start vacuuming and mopping, once it detects that it's not on carpet, it will start to mop and make use of the water. If it goes onto the carpet, it might just go into vacuum mode, or it might just void the carpet altogether. Regardless, it's not gonna get your carpet wet. Move that to the side to get a better look here. So you have a few pieces here to take care of. These are just some pull tabs here. I'll lift this up. Almost always, anytime you get a robot vacuum, they're always gonna put some kind of foam in here, and what this does is it just protects any moving parts from banging around during shipment. And because this moves in and out. This is the bumper that allows it to detect when it's come across an object. So when it's moving around and it hits that, that barrier of a chair leg or a wall or something like that, that tells it it's time to turn around and head into the other direction. So this is a very sensitive sensor, and they don't want that to get damaged during shipment. That's why they put these foam protectors in there. Now, the only thing on top that you have for physical buttons is right here, and that's the power button to turn it on with. You have your camera here, it looks like, and you probably have some cameras or a camera in here as well to help see everything as it's moving around. And then when you lift up this back plate here, this is where you get to everything else, and this is also quite common with most models. You have a cleaning tool here with a brush and a little blade here, so you can help get hairs and stuff out of the roller at the bottom, so that way in case it gets stuck on something, you're able to resolve that quickly. And then you have a QR code here for downloading the app and getting everything registered. You have a power button. It's a hard power button, so it's off and on. And once you have that on, this power button on top will begin to function. You have a reset button here, so you can completely reset the unit, as well as you have a USB, it looks like a mini USB, or is that micro? It might be a micro. Looks like a micro USB port that's deep in there, as well as some other kind of maintenance port, it looks like, for either additional accessories, or maybe that's just to program it manually using some kind of a tool. It's hard to say if you would actually have access to such a tool, or if you were to send this into some kind of a repair location. Now the USB port on there is likely for firmware updates if the firmware update is not able to be done through the app. In most cases, you should be able to have firmware updates done over the air using the app, but we'll find out a little bit more about that later on once we've actually had time to play with this, and we'll tell you what we find in the review at POCnetwork.net. And then finally, you have your bin here. You just pull up on this little arm and lift right on up and kind of secure the, push this down so you don't lift the whole thing up with it. But this pops out, and this is going to be your dust bin. This is where all the dust gets collected into, and when it comes time to empty it out, there's just a little push latch here. You open this like this, and you empty it into your garbage can. You have your filter that's on the outside of that, which is going to be an additional thing. You just kind of pull that out, and then you have your filter here. That can be completely replaced. Get the new one, and just slap that into place once you're ready. I think that's all it does. It just pushes into place. But that's it. That's all you have to worry about on this. It's just emptying it and replacing that filter. So everything else is using the app. Again, it comes with all the familiar features you'd find with a robot vacuum. You have that customizable map, as that first you got to let it do its job. It'll go around the immediate area. It'll map out your home, and then it will determine exactly what's what in terms of, there's something in the way here. It'll map out all the objects in the way, including tables and chairs and sofas and anything else that it finds. And then once you've had that done, you can start drawing borders for boundaries where you don't want it to go. It'll avoid staircases, so you're not going to be surprised with this, taking a flip down the staircase or anything like that. Once it comes up to the stairs, it's just going to turn and move into the other direction. And you're going to have the ability to schedule cleans and detect where it's at. You can follow it on the map or see battery status, all of that using the app. And again, we're going to have more information about that once we actually have had time to use this and see what we like about it and see how everything looks once it's actually in operation. We'll have all of that in the review at pocnetwork.net. So there you have it. Again, this is the yeedi vac Max, the robot vacuum and mop from Yeedi, and that's YEEDI, and we'll have links in the description where you'll be able to find one of these, as well as the full review once it releases. Now, if you liked what you've seen here, don't forget to subscribe and follow us, as well as use the like button to show that you like the video, and the comment section below if you have any questions or you want to discuss it amongst each other or us, anything involving this specific vacuum, how it compares maybe to one of the ones you have, or maybe you have this specific model. So definitely make use of the comments and share your thoughts. And as always, we thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time. If you want to stay on top of all the latest and greatest, and or at least the gadgets we cover, remember to subscribe right here. Subscription button. Click it. You're going to want to. There's lots of videos, interviews, previews, all sorts of stuff. Button. Click it.